Hey guys, Toast here, and today, in wake of the recent trailer release, I want to talk a little bit about Battlefield 1 and what DICE can learn from critiques from Visceral's Battlefield Hardline. Now, I want to preface this by saying that I don't necessarily think Hardline was a bad game. I just feel like it didn't quite live up to the expectations of what a Battlefield game has proven it can be over the past few years. The first point I really want to touch on is something that's pretty highly debated in the FPS world, and many people defend this argument on either side with varying degrees of success. Now I'm talking of course about the health to damage ratio, or as it's more commonly referred to, the time to kill. In past Battlefield games leading up to Hardline, the time to kill tended to err on the side of being a bit longer. I prefer this as it feels like you can have an actual volley between players, and it doesn't foster as strong a twitch dependency as games with a lower time to kill like most of the Call of Duty games or indie games like Squads. In Hardline, however, the typical time to kill of the Battlefield series was lowered significantly. Now this works with Call of Duty games because the maps are small and the respawn times are minimal. In Hardline, however, the maps were still pretty large, albeit not quite as large as some of the other Battlefield games, but still considerably larger than many other shooters. This meant that your battles were really pretty quick to end, and if you happened to be on the losing end of that fight, you spent the next few seconds watching a silhouette of the player who just killed you, followed by the time spent on the loadout screen waiting for the respawn timer to reset, and then finally spawning back in and making your way back into the battle. Now, this didn't end up being as big a deal to me, at least in the previous Battlefield games, as I felt I had a fair chance of winning or at least competing in a fight instead of just being gunned down instantly. This leads me to the topic of variety, or as it was in Hardline, the lack thereof. While not all of the previous Battlefield games had a massive selection of weapons and gadgets, Battlefield 4 in particular really stepped up their game by introducing a wide variety of toys to try out. This meant that you rarely saw people running identical loadouts, and you could learn new tactics from what you saw other people running. This was scaled back immensely in Hardline, and your weapon selection in each class was unfortunately pretty minimal. To exacerbate the problem, there were oftentimes weapons in each class that were objectively better than the others, and this was reflected in the frequency that these weapons were used. Take the Operator class, for example. The M16A3 for the cops and the M416 for the criminals were easily the best weapons of their class, and you saw them used almost unanimously in games. When you did see other weapons, it was often because those using them either hadn't unlocked the M16A3 or the M416 yet, or perhaps they were trying to get weapon challenges done. Rarely did you ever see them used just out of preference or out of getting a competitive edge. Now, if you've been paying attention to the video in the background, you may have noticed I was playing on the block, and I was pretty well pushed back into the spawn with little or no hope of getting out. While I don't necessarily dislike the block as a map, unfortunately on PC at least, one of the only consistently active servers is a 24/7 block server. As of the creation of this commentary, there were actually 2 servers with people in them, and there were less than 32 people in each server. If I were to go and jump onto Battlefield 4, I could easily find servers dedicated to specific maps, servers with full map rotations, and for pretty much every base game mode as well. This should not be the case with Battlefield 4 as it's an older game. I think this actually stems from the fact that most people don't particularly love all of the maps in Hardline due to just their overall map design and flow. The other issue that tends to show up with this is map balancing. Even on the more confined maps, there really shouldn't be a situation where 32 people are quite literally pushed back to the beginning of a map by 32 other people. Sure, there were maps in Battlefield 4 where this could happen, like Operation Locker or Operation Metro, which, yes, I know was actually a Battlefield 3 map, but the biggest difference for me was that these maps actually allowed for separate lanes, where with a decent amount of coordination, you could push through one of the lanes and actually get out of a spawn trap situation. On Hardline maps, that wasn't really an option a lot of times, a key example being the block. Now, if Battlefield 1 can really hone down on the basis of each of these points and produce a game that feels like a traditional Battlefield game but also introduces new and fun situations that we haven't encountered before, then I think they're pretty well poised for success. I'm really excited to see what new developments come up over the course of the next few months leading up to the open beta when we finally get to get our hands on it. Anyways guys, that's going to do it for today. I really hope you enjoyed. Let me know in the comments what shortcomings you felt that Hardline had that you'd like to see improved in Battlefield 1. If you liked the video, please leave a like, and if you want to see more content, please subscribe and follow me on Facebook and Twitter, links in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Toast, and I'll talk to you soon.